Well, we're back. It's been a few days since we hit format on the array, and now everything's done. It's up and running. We've connected our Unraid system to Active Directory, which is great because it's going to allow us to do permissions. We set up an SMB share, and I guess now we're ready to test. One of the difficulties I experienced was connecting to Active Directory. Unraid, I had pointed to my NTP server, set the time zone appropriately, and it did a weird thing. It took the time from my NTP and then deducted the time zone hours from that, which was frustrating because then it was 5 hours earlier on the Unraid server than on my Active Directory server, which, as anyone who knows Active Directory would know, that will prevent it from connecting to the domain. So I thought, okay, I'll just, NTP set it to GMT +0 because then the time on the Unraid server is accurate. And I tried connecting again and I ran into the same damn issue because now Unraid wasn't connecting because the time zone was incorrect. So in the end, I had to disconnect the NTP, set the time locally, set the time zone properly, and then magically everything connected. Very frustrating, Unraid. Very, very frustrating. That's not how time zones work, especially when you're connecting to an NTP server. So I don't know if that's unique to my experience, that's my lack of Unraid experience, who knows, but I spent a good chunk of time on that. So anyways, we're gonna just turn this over here and move the camera in. Okay, so there we go. We've got our 3 active disks, our cache drive. If you come over to the main tab, everything's healthy. We've been copying data back and forth. The other thing to note, just scrolling down here, Ethernet 3, inbound, outbound, there's nothing really flowing, but if you zoom in on that, it says 10,000 megabits per second there, right there. We've got our MTU set to 9014, which is appropriate for this Intel network adapter. So I've just been running into some issues because I'm using a recommended Intel 10 gigabit network adapter, and I'm kind of peaking out about 3.5 to 4 gigabits a second. And I thought, you know what, maybe those are the cables in my walls from my PC to the switch, and then from the switch back to the server. I thought I would eliminate all possibility of cables in the walls and length and all that. We're going directly from my existing file server to the new Unraid server through about 12 feet of cable and a 10 gigabit Dell switch. So in theory, I've kind of eliminated all the bottlenecks. The only further bottleneck I could eliminate is running a direct crossover cable between the 2 file servers, but I still don't think that's going to solve this problem. I think there are configuration issues in Unraid that I'm going to need to sort through in like config files and setting manual options and stuff, and I'm kind of disappointed given that I'm using an officially recommended network card for 10 gigabit. But if we come over here, I've got a test file here. It's 6.9 gigs. It should copy. 10 gigabit is a theoretical maximum of 1.25 gigabytes a second. Even if I top out at 9 gigabits, I should still be getting some crazy phenomenal speeds. Unfortunately, 380 megabytes a second, 3.5 gig, 3.6. That's great. It's not gigabit, but it's nowhere close. Sorry, I'll just paste that again and let it run its course, but it's nowhere close to what I was experiencing. 3.8 as a spike. I can copy from my current hard drive array on this file server to itself, and it writes at 780 megabytes a second, right? So it should be able to read faster than 400 megabytes a second. I thought it might be my caching device in Unraid, so we come back here, I went to my shares, and you know, I turned off the cache disk and I said apply. I think that disabled it there. Sometimes it's never sure. So no cache disk now. And if I delete that file and try again, you know, in theory, see, it mucked with the array, so it knows it's there. So we'll delete that. Refresh, it's not there. Copy it back. Again, 3.1, 3.6. Just not what I want. 3.8, 3.9, back to 3.3. It's all over the place, but it's still about almost a third of the speed that I would like. And then if I do it the other way, like I said, I can copy directly from itself to itself on the array and get 700 and something megabytes a second. If I copy from Unraid back to the source, 1 gigabit pretty much. 1 gigabit. So there's definitely a configuration issue. 1.1. Couldn't tell you, but this is definitely going through a 10 gigabit connection, and I'm just beyond disappointed with that. So I wish Unraid was a bit better out of the box, but we're gonna get somewhere. Certainly for writing to the array, it's a lot faster. I'm pretty satisfied. I just want better, because I know I can have better. So we're gonna mess around with that. But for now, I've got, you know, a very useful amount of storage here. If I come back here and map that, 27.6 usable terabytes. That's a very happy amount of storage for me. Right now, I think I'm gonna just use it for movie archive storage for the for Bytesector's videos. So yeah, we're gonna just minimize that, come back to Unraid. Some things to note is shares. I created an SMB share. It's connected to Active Directory. We've got all our data there. I'm gonna blur that out because you don't need to know that. Our network settings, like I said, 9014 MTU. I gotta start playing around with that, see if dropping that makes any difference. Certainly that's what's matched on the other side, so they're the same, and then the switch is also 9014. There's some default shares here. I don't really care about them. And then our cache device, and we've scheduled. The other thing to notice about a cache device is whatever's written into the cache, in this case it's a 400 gig cache, stays in the cache until something called mover, which is a scheduled task, moves it from the cache device over to the array. I don't want to have to manually run mover every time I'm copying a large amount of data, and you know, I'm not dealing with red 8K footage amounts of data and then video editing, but I still expect to be able to use the array without having to interact with it on a file level basis, you know, in the back end. I don't know if there's a way to tweak that, but I'm almost tempted to run the array without the cache device. So far, Unraid's good. Aside from that Active Directory hiccup, it was easy to set up. It's kind of a no-brainer. You can do plugins, you can do Docker containers. I don't have any plugins. I actually disabled Docker for a reason. I can't remember what it was, but we'll re-enable it. You can have jails. I set up Plex so that I can stream final episodes and stuff around my house and some of the content, like home videos and stuff. I also find it's extremely slow sometimes. Like I'm still waiting for it to start the Docker services. There we go. Nope, not yet done. There we go, now it's done. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's episode. We've added almost 30 terabytes of storage space to our environment. We're gonna start enjoying that, start moving things off of the old array so that we can make use of both spaces. We've got now a total of 52.3 terabytes, which is a far cry from the petabyte I'd love to be at, but certainly it's a huge step in the right direction. Unraid is a great storage OS. If you don't know too much about storage OSs, you don't want to deal with the technical of something like ZFS or, you know, implementing your own Ubuntu or other builds. Places like Linus Tech Tips are using GlusterFS, which is also ZFS based, but allows them to span across multiple different storage devices and bring it all together in one big giant pool of storage. Certainly we're going to explore that down the road. For today, you know, a single server install is going to do us just fine. Again, I'm not 100% sold on Unraid, but I do like its potential. I think it's got a lot of potential for anybody who doesn't want to get into the nitty-gritty and wants a very straightforward, easy-to-use web interface. And for that, Unraid nails it. Thanks for watching today's video. If you didn't like it, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs down. Leave us a comment below letting us know what we can improve for next time. But if you did like it, give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell beside it so that you get notified the next time we post a video. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Have a great day, and we'll see you all next time.